Do you suck at building trees? Well, today I'm going to be going over everything I've learned about making trees and how to use these techniques in order to help you on your building journey. Big shout out to Calvin and his video on why trees are so hard to build. It really helped me look at trees in a different way, and I will be showing you what I did in order to achieve the style of trees I wanted. We'll talk more about it in the video. Let's get to it. First, we'll start off with the branches. I think the branches would be one of the most important parts of the tree in order to really show what shape you want to go for. So if we look at this branch compared to this branch, obviously this is going to be a lot thinner. And using these different building techniques, we'll be able to show a gradual thinning in the tree. So it'll go from like super skinny and then it'll like widen out on, both sides, kind of like this. So if you can see, it'll start off at the top skinny and lead to a thicker branch, and then slowly get into the trunk eventually. Now, usually with Minecraft trees, the main issue is that the leaves cover the branches. So say I were to stand right here, right? We wouldn't be able to see some of this because it would just be like covered completely in branches. Now, if we look at this tree in a different way, like say a drawing or a painting, we will see that the branches are like forward compared to the leaves, which are in the background almost. And it's still like that keeps the effect of still showing the shape of the tree through the branches without having to use the leaves too much. So we're gonna kind of apply that to Minecraft, and then that will allow us to have a specific effect for trees rather than having something like a oak tree like this where the branches just get lost into the tree and honestly you just don't know what you're looking at. It's just a blob of leaves. So once we have a little bit of intention going on with the branches, the leaves will come with it. That's why I think the branches are the most important part. We're going to get into the branches right now, and obviously starting with the thinnest one, we are going to see that it's just mainly going to be towards the top of the tree where it starts to thin out a little bit. It's kind of right there, and then it'll gradually lead to these bigger, thicker areas of the branch. So that way it'll have that effect that we want from the drawing. So if we look at these right here, it's just two sandwich slabs above each other in a checkerboard pattern with fences. And you can also do this with shelves as well. Now, this is like the base of what the branches will be looking like. So if we take in these, for example, another checkerboard pattern, take in these, another checkerboard, and you don't have to be limited to glass panes or bars or that specific type of block shape. You can do trapdoors as well as shelves like I did right here, or something like that, and kind of have them vary based off where they are on the tree or just how you want it to look. So nothing too specific, but just following this guideline, right? Now, if we have something like a diagonal branch with the angle that we want, we can see that it's a little bit more complicated, but it just overall combines all of these concepts together. So say, for example, we want a diagonal wall, right? We're going to want to look at it like this, and then you're going to keep that same checkerboard pattern like this, right? So we're still going to have checkerboard, but it's going to be two thickness, like a 2x2, instead of just being a 2x1 and going flat up. So then this way it'll pull forward, and then we can go up again. Then we'll start the diagonal like this. We'll start the diagonal like this, and then boom, eventually it'll start turning into something like this once you add, like, say, trapdoors like right here and right here. That way it shows that gradual step that we wanted before, and then it'll eventually come together like this. So I'll show you how to start thinning out a little bit. That way it doesn't look too weird, but something like this. And then say we grab a fence, and then we put this on top, and then eventually we can just start layering this whatever we want. You can do the same thing that we did earlier, or that I showed earlier, and just show the nice thinning of it. Now, it's not limited to this. Obviously, you can keep adding on whatever shape you want. You can even curve it the other way. It's not really too picky. So if you want, I think you can do something like this. Boom, boom, and then flip it to the other side, and then boom, go up this way, and it'll start turning back. As you can see, we have that gradual shape that we want. Boom, boom, and it starts curving up back towards the area where it came from. So this is kind of like just a general guideline. It's not telling you exactly what to do because each tree is going to be different regardless of how you build it. And, you know, do whatever you want and whatever looks nice. Now for something more horizontal, you're going to obviously want to show the gradual thinning a little bit differently, as branches kind of look, you know, like different when they're coming straight out rather than up. So this would be something that comes off of like almost like, I guess, right here. So then you can kind of leave this off from there, and I'll just grab a slab. Boom. You can even go diagonal right here. Kind of, oh, that's not good. We'll go down one right here and then place this like that. And then you can see, boom, adds another branch. And you're going to see that once you start putting all the branches together, it'll start coming together overall. So when it comes to the top of the trunk, you're going to want to limit how many 1 block thickness branches you want. So try not, if say something like that big, you're not going to want more than 3, and maybe you can have 4 into a splitting one. So that way this one goes this way and then this one goes that way. It depends how you want it, but overall that's just like the general basis. And then once I get to the full tree build, you'll see me use these techniques and combine them all together. Now that I'm done introducing all the different branch variations and the ways to build them, I'll be showing you how to apply them to your tree, as well as other leaves and decorations that you can add to enhance the overall look of your tree. Now we will be switching over to cinematic mode to just kind of explain the ideas I was going through while building the tree. Now if you've dealt with organics before, this will come a little more natural to you, but if you haven't, I'm just going to explain what I'm doing. And imagine a gradient of sizes, so it goes from thick to thin, right? You're going to want to sell that look with the branches when you build them. So obviously when you're looking at the base of the branches or the top of the trunk, it's going to be a lot thicker than it was at the top of the tree. And what you want to do is make it look as natural as possible, going from thick to thin rather than having a sudden change of just maybe switching to fences or just placing thick blocks at the top of the tree. You want to make sure that it feels natural. Now, if you can see, this is a good example in front of us. You can see each section slowly thinning out till it gets to the top, like a tree in real life. Now, if you can see, when we zoom out, the tree looks a lot nicer with the bunches of branches that we've made, rather than just leaving a couple branches and throwing them on the trunk, just praying the tree looks good. This has a lot more intention to it. And if we start to focus on the diagonal horizontal branches, we can see that I'm using them a little bit more sparingly. That way we can keep that look that we want without it being too chaotic. So you would add it in places where you would want more fluff or thickness for the tree. That way it looks full and not too overwhelming when all the leaves are bunched up together. So try to use them sparingly, but use them to fill in spaces that you would think would need more leaves. Now we can actually get to the leaves, and in the video, Calvin used green wool to show the area he would build the leaves, but I eventually switched to yellow because I did want a birch autumn tree, and I thought that the yellow would help me visualize the leaves a little bit better. So I suggest using a good placeholder block that resembles what color you want, so that way you can visualize it before you start actually investing in building the full thing. Now you can see a difference between the green and the yellow wool shapes, and the green has a bit more of a defined shape, while the yellow is just placed around everywhere and overall just kind of using that randomness to my advantage. And I thought this worked better for me in multiple ways, just because the shape ones were taking a little while and I just wanted to get the look down before just refining the shape later with a possible gradient or other types of leaves that I wanted to add. So I just wanted to keep my options open without having to force myself into a shape that I already chose. So this gave me a general idea just to build around and see how the tree would look when the leaves were pretty much on but not fully finished. Now I'm going to speed this up a bit so that way we can move past the leaves, because once you start building them with the branches and have the branches already spaced out well, The leaves should come naturally, like I said earlier. So as long as your branches are good, don't worry too much about the leaves. Now we skip to the later part of the build. I just switched the green wool to yellow to fully see how the tree would look. And then I wanted to add a autumn yellow to orange gradient, which I thought looked really good on a birch tree naturally. So I'm just gonna start doing that, and you can see me adjust the shape a little bit to move the leaves to the left. So I'm doing this for a reason, and it's to show the movement of the wind. That way I can sell like a more dynamic looking tree rather than something looking more static. Now, how I was doing this technique where it was moving the leaves to the left or through the wind was I was imagining how trees would look like in the wind naturally in real life, where when the wind hits the bunches of leaves at the top where the wind is hitting directly, it pushes them away almost like hair, right? So then after that, have the leaves flow with that direction that it's pushing in, and kind of keeping more of a ball shape towards the top, but then slowly transitioning into a trickle where it's pushing down some of the leaves. Now, if we look to enhance this, I took this idea from Calven, where I saw him put leaves in glass panes, and I've seen it in other builds before, but obviously watching his video definitely put it into my mind a little bit more, and I thought it looked really good and pretty achievable with the size and scale that I was going for already. So if you look, I'm just adding these carpets and candles to make it look like leaves are falling out from the wind, and using that look of the motion that I already made to enhance the candles as well, and it kind of complements each other really well into keeping this look going that I wanted. Now, to enhance some of the gradient, I wanted to add a bit of highlights with glass, so I did a bit of not glass shading, but more of just a tint addition to the yellow. That way it looked a bit brighter towards the top of the gradient, and as it trickled down it looked as dark as possible, so that contrast kind of worked. And then I wanted to add a bit more glass panes to show that movement in the leaves a bit more. I added a little bird hole, little nest thing that I just put black concrete in the background, and then just did a border with some shelves and stairs. Now we're nearing the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something most importantly. And if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like and maybe subscribe if you feel like it, and peace.